In this video, I'll break down every attack Radahn does, how to anticipate it, how to dodge it, and when to attack. This guide is for a no shield, no summon run. If you choose to use them, the fight should be 10 times easier. If you want to learn his fight without wasting a lot of time, or prefer to get over the hump the old-fashioned way, this video is for you. Let's dive in. The video will be split into 3 sections. First, we'll break down every attack, showing you how to anticipate and dodge each one. Not only that, but we'll also show you when to attack and when not to. Second, we'll go through a proper build for this fight that takes into considerations a lot of things. Finally, we'll provide some tips and tricks to make the fight a lot easier. Radahn has 3 phases. Let's go through the attacks you will see in each one. Phase 1, Gravity Lunge. Radahn lunges at you using gravity magic. How to anticipate it? Just watch for Radahn charging up and leaping towards you. How to avoid it? Dodge towards him near impact. You should punish this attack 100% of the time. Ground Stomp. Radahn stomps the ground, causing an AoE shockwave. How to anticipate it? Just look for Radahn raising his foot. How to avoid it? Time your dodge sideways to avoid the shockwave. You should try not to punish this attack because most of the time something else is coming afterwards. The Gravity Pull. Radahn screams pulling you in, followed by a second scream sending rock shockwaves forward. You can anticipate this attack when you're far away from him and when he raises his arms and you see gravity magic. Avoid it by dodging backwards to avoid the pull. You should not punish this attack because most of the time you're going to be far away from him. Mohg's attack, which includes Radahn thrusting his sword and slashing, leaving a blood of trail followed by an explosion. You anticipate it by watching for Radahn pulling his arm behind and thrusting the sword forward. You avoid it by rotating to the right when Radahn thrusts and dodge the explosion. Should you punish the attack? No. The Meteor Attack. Radahn drags his sword on the floor and jumps into the air, summoning rocks that crashes down. You anticipate it when Radahn lowers his swords to the ground. You avoid it by dodging the ground attack and running away from him while he's in the air. Strafe right when the rocks are about to hit near you. You do not punish after this attack because he's gonna be far away from you. The Triple Slash. Radahn performs a right slash, left slash, and then a double sworded slash. You anticipate it when Radahn raises his sword to the right. You avoid it by dodge, wait, dodge. You should try to go for a punish when this combo is done. This is what I refer to as the Radahn combo because this is the most common attack you will see. Radahn slams his sword down, slashes left, then right, followed by a double sword slam and a pull. You anticipate it by watching for Radahn raising his sword high above his head. You avoid it by dodging, waiting, dodging, then rotating behind or dodging through the final pull. Most of the time when he's done with this combo, there is a really good window to attack. So you should 100% punish afterwards. The Circular Sword Swing. Radahn swings both swords in a circular motion and then swings back down. You anticipate it when Radahn raises both arms. You avoid it by waiting for the impact and dodging as it happens. Then you wait again and then dodge the second one. You should punish 100% after this. The sword leap and slam. Radahn leaps into the air, flips, and slams both swords down. You anticipate it if you're far away from him and when he crouches and leaps into the air. Simply dodge the slam as it happens. He might repeat it back to back, so just give it a little bit of time. If he doesn't, then 100% punish. Phase 2, the Charm Grab. Radahn glows, jumps slightly, and goes for a Charm Grab. You anticipate it by just watching for Radahn glowing a little bit and ascending. You avoid it by dodging right before he grabs. You punish 100% of the time when this happens because it's a very good window. This is what I call the plus attack because Radahn glows and holds both swords next to his head in a plus shape and performs a series of slashes and AoE attacks. This is a very hard attack to dodge. The consistent way for me to deal with it is to dodge, and then block until he slams down, then I will dodge again. It is a very deadly combo, so you should dodge / tank correctly, and you should avoid punishing this attack. The Meteor attack with Holy Dash. This is a phase 1 attack, but it has a second part now. Radahn drags his sword on the floor, jumps into the air, summons rocks, and performs a Holy Dash afterwards. Just like phase 1, when you see him dragging his swords on the floor, you know it's coming. First, you dodge the sword drag. You run away as far as possible from him. You strafe the rocks to the right and spam dodging as he's about to do the dash. And then you dash towards him. Only punish this one if you do it correctly. The Radahn combo with Holy AoE. This is another one from phase 1. Radahn slams his sword down, followed by left and right slashes, and a double sword slam with an after AoE. You anticipate it by watching for Radahn raising his right sword. You avoid it by dodging, waiting, dodging, and then dodging the massive AoE. If you do it correctly, you should punish. If you get hit through it, you should heal. The massive AoE explosion. Radahn ascends and performs a massive AoE explosion. You anticipate it when you transition into phase 2, and Radahn slowly ascending into the air. You avoid it by running away from the circle until it is done. If he catches you off guard and you notice you don't have time to run, just block right under him, and it's also a good window to punish back, because when you're blocked, you're not going to take a lot of damage, and you can damage him as he's falling down. The multiple clones attack. Radahn ascends higher and sends multiple clones. You anticipate it when Radahn ascends. You avoid it by dodging left 4 times, then dodge toward him on the 5th one. This one is BS. I just spam dodge and pray. Well, do you punish? No. Most of the time, I'm getting hit in this one, so I'm prioritizing healing. Radahn also does another glowing dash attack where he glows and dashes forward with an after image. You can anticipate it when Radahn starts to glow and prepares dash. You avoid it by dodging his dash and his second clone's dash. Do you punish? No. Phase 3. Phase 3 has a unique transition, but the attacks remain the same. Radahn will slam the floor and ascend for a massive meteor crash. You anticipate it when Radahn's health reaches around the word Miquella in his health bar. When you see it, run to the back of the arena and spam dodge as he's about to land. Most of the attacks he will use after he lands are the same ones from phase 2, so yeah, you should know them by then. Your loadout should maximize your survivability with decent damage. Your armor should be heavy for high poise and damage resistance, like the Black Jail Knight armor set. It is very important so that you survive and you are not interrupted in your attacks. For your weapon, I would recommend a heavy hitting weapon like the Blood Fiend's arm, maxed out and changed to Blood Affinity for massive bleed damage, especially since Radahn is weak to bleed and frost. Add the Crack Blade Ash of War for more stance damage, so you are consistently staggering him. For the talismans, use the Two-Headed Turtle for stamina regeneration. You do not want to be caught without stamina and being unable to dodge. Use the Dragon Crest Great Shield. I know what you're going to say, Golden Braid is the way to go. I disagree. Let me explain. In phase 1, most of the attacks are physical and a 20% damage negation is just superior. In phase 2, think about it. Are you getting hit mostly by his swords or by the holy AoE? Personally, I was rarely hit with AoE and I was dying to swords most of the time, which is why I think that the Dragon Crest Shield for a 20% physical damage negation is a no-brainer. Use the Bull Goats for increased poise. You want to be at 101 so he's not interrupting most of your attacks. A lot of the time you want to tank a hit to stagger or because you are getting hit regardless and might as well trade it. For the final slot, the Great Arsenal Jar prevents fat rolling with the gear since the loadout is very demanding. If you do not need it, use the Golden Braid to tank more holy attacks in phase 2. In your physique, you should have 2 tiers. One of them is the Opaline tier for temporary damage negation that will last you most of the fights, and the Stonebarb Crack tier for more stance damage, and it will help you consistently push him to phase 2 so you don't have to deal with a lot of his BS. Here are some final tips to help you in the fight. Number 1, lower your effect settings to avoid being overwhelmed by AoE attacks, especially in phase 2. The amount of flashbangs is insane. Lower your effects. It makes a lot of difference. Number 2, use the boiled crab for 20% damage negation. Very easy to use, you don't have to worry about it. Buy a bunch of them and keep them in a hotkey slot along with the flask so you're not wasting a lot of time between fights. Number 3, Morgoth's Great Rune is great for your health and for this fight. This could be the edge you need to push through. I highly recommend it. Use your rune arcs sparingly, especially when you're close to defeating them. You don't have to use it all the time. When you feel like you're in a good position and you are getting really close to defeating them, I would recommend you use the rune arcs. Number 4, most of his combos repeat from phase 1 to 2 with a little bit of changes. So what you want to do is put as much health as possible, including talismans and whatnot, and then go in and just practice to dodge his attacks in phase 1. That way you have a great feel for the fight. Number 5, play up close and very aggressive in phase 1, so you're pursuing staggers back to back. With the loadout we have, the charged heavies will stagger him very fast. 2 charged heavies will stagger him in phase 1 and will push you into phase 2 consistently, so you get some practice with phase 2. And the final tip is to use charged attacks in phase 1, but normal attacks in phase 2. Reason being, he's very forgiving with longer windows for damage in phase 1. In phase 2, you want to pursue those bleed procs and passive playstyle. You want to prioritize surviving more. With these strategies and tips, you are now ready to face Radahn, Consort of Miquella. If you just want a build that outright cheeses him, check this video out.